Hello, and welcome back to another brand new movie review where I am going to be wrapping up the Cornetto Trilogy reviews. Yes, I have now made it to my least favorite in the Cornetto Trilogy, that being The World's End. So, with this current rewatch, has my opinion changed on The World's End? The answer is no. Unfortunately, not. I still think that this is the weakest of the trilogy. Um, the story is good in of itself and all that, but again, when you compare it to the likes of Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead, it falls flat. So, how does it fall flat? Well, mainly with the story. The story to me just doesn't grip me in as much. I mean, I've watched it now 3 or 4 times since it came out, and I just it just doesn't gel well with me. So the story essentially is originally back in 1990, 30 years ago, 30 plus years ago. I should correct myself in saying um that a group of 5 friends decided to go out and do a pub crawl, or known as the Golden Mile, where you would hit 12 pubs, all different types of pubs, and the last pub is known as The World's End, which is the title of the movie. And as Gary King, who is our lead character played by Simon Pegg, is recounting this in a support group, he mentions how some of his friends didn't make it to the end, and by the end, it was just himself, his friend Andy, and another friend, Sean, I believe his name is. Um, it was just the three of them. They didn't even make it to the last 3 pubs, and you just see them sitting there looking at the sunset. For what Gary said should have been the start of the rest of his life. Also, just before I continue on, if you look closely, you will actually see the alien ship go by as a shooting comet. If you look at it, you will see it. So yeah, we cut to Gary King in a support group, and someone makes mention that does he regret not completing uh, the Golden Mile, doing all 12 pubs, and that's what essentially kickstarts this film. So he decides to go recruit all of his other friends, and they all go back to Newton Haven where they grew up, and they start to do the pub crawl. But everything's different. All the friends have moved on. They've all had bad experiences um with Gary. And it's clear that whilst they've all changed and grown up and have lives and wives and kids and pretty successful jobs and all that, Gary is still the same as he was as a teenager. And so they continue doing the pub crawl. Gary, in order to get Andy to come after, what happened in 1996, I believe it was stated, where Gary had OD'd and Andy was rushing to bring him to the hospital. Then Andy swerves and flips the car, which somehow that managed to make Gary regain consciousness, and he left Andy there to get arrested, and that's why they have this big rift between them. So in order to get Andy on board, Gary has to he lied to him, saying that his mother died after repaying him the £600 that he owed him. And so it's not until after, like, when he goes to the bathroom just before they're all about to leave, that that it turns out Gary's mother is still alive. So they all go into the bathroom to confront him after he's fought one of the blanks. And that's when they all fight the blanks, and they realize that the entire town of Newton Haven has been taken over. So it's kind of similar to I can't remember the name of the movie. something about body snatchers back in the 70s or 80s. One of the, whatever that one was called, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think it's called. So it has a kind of similar premise to that, but it's supposed to be a comedy and that. And so as they continue on, they obviously beforehand they meet up with Oliver's sister, who Gary had a one night stand with in his teenage years. She goes off to meet up with some friends. They all reconvene after Oliver or O Man gets swapped out with a blank when he goes to the bathroom in one of the pubs. And the easiest way to like notice it, like you realize it later on, but um easiest way to know that when he's changed obviously is the birthmark comes back, and not only that, he's a lot more agreeable with Gary, and he doesn't mind being called O-Man anymore, whereas early on Oliver was kept asking Andy, or not Andy, Gary, not to call him O-Man. And so, things go on, more fights happen. They go to leave. Some, old man gets taken. Peter ends up getting taken after a while. And so it's just the three of them plus Andy's sister. Um, they eventually Gary and Andy make it to the world's end, and that's when they come face to face with the network, which is what this thing is called, and explains it, and Gary just beats Gary so much that it pisses off the network, and they just say fuck it and leave, and because of that, that makes a big EMP which knocks out all the technology. So no one knows what's going on or what have you anymore because all of it's gone, and so they all go back to the dark ages essentially. And the movie ends with Gary traveling with the younger version of his friends, and he isn't drinking anymore. Not alcohol. He's drinking water, and so obviously the blanks reactivate after the EMP goes off, and a lot of people don't. A lot of humans hate the blanks, and so they all have to do something to prove that they're not, scarrings uh, and all that. And yeah, the movie ends. So yeah, like the story just did not really gel well with me. It hasn't really gelled well with me. Um, on every rewatch that I've done, it's like I said, it's my least favorite of the Cornetto trilogy. Like, yeah, I understand, all the stuff that Gary's going through, going into rehab, the AA meetings and all of that, and I get that, but just to me, it just, well, like I said in the beginning of this video, trying to when you look at it in relation to Hot Fuzz, which is the best of the trilogy, and Shaun of the Dead, which is an amazing movie, to me, The World's End just falls flat. If I know Edgar Wright had nothing to do with this movie, but if Paul was considered a part of the Cornetto trilogy, or as the definitive end for the Cornetto trilogy, I'd have been happy with that. Um, but yeah, just to me, The World's End, like every time I watch it, I'm just like I'll sit through it and I'll watch it, and it just doesn't connect with me the same way Hot Fuzz does, with the amazing editing, the cinematography, the action. Simon Pegg, Nick Frost are amazing in Hot Fuzz, and then the same with Shaun of the Dead. It's a romantic comedy with zombies, a zombie, if you will. But with The World's End, it just doesn't gel well with me. Like, I still will give it like a 3 out of 5. For the near 2 hours that it is, it tells a good story that just doesn't really connect with me, and that's unfortunate. But that is going to wrap up this review. Thank you all for watching. Let me know what you thought of The World's End, and let me know what your favorite of the Cornetto trilogy is. And I will see you all on the next review, which is going to be my favorite Star Trek movie. we're going to First Contact as a re-review. So you're gonna finally figure out why it's my favorite Star Trek movie of all time. I'll see, excuse me, I'll see you all on the 28th.